If you've ever been rejected in the past before and you felt like you weren't worthy of the other person's love, attention, and they rejected you and you felt like, damn, this hurts, I got to do something, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about some of my history in the sense that I made some mistakes and what I am now doing to overcome those mistakes. And the first mistake is treating others the way you'd like to be treated. And I know that's a scripture and it is applicable in certain senses. However, this particular scripture, when applied to someone who doesn't love you in return, and you are doing this, you are giving love because you are expecting love to be given back to you, you're setting yourself up for failure, because love is actually deprecation of the self. Love means you are sacrificing yourself for the other person. And when you sacrifice yourself for the other person, this is actually unattractive. It's not an attractive thing. It's not particularly desirable. The only reason you should be giving love is if you have energy to spare. If you have energy that you can expend that's like more minuscule and not like all outright sacrificing, then that might be okay. But if you are kind of barely holding things together and you are letting this person that you love borrow your car, or you're going to the house and you're buying them soup or porridge, or you're literally cleaning up their house for that person, and then the next day or even within a few hours after doing that, the whole place just becomes a pigsty again. Like, I'm talking literal hoarder. And so what I'm doing now is I regret sharing my car even with people I care about. Not so much brothers or dad so much, but just people I love, sharing my car with them. Because in doing that, my car, as I discovered, was either not respected. I even gave one of my cars away once to someone I was romantically interested. I gave my car away to her brother, and it was a filthy, disgusting car within literally a day of me giving it away, and I regret it when I actually needed the car. And yeah, so giving away things, giving gifts, giving your car, letting people borrow your car. This includes money, by the way. You are disrespecting yourself. And these people, unfortunately, are just taking advantage of that. And I'm not saying that these people are bad per se, but it just means that someone like me, my old self, I used to try to prove so hard that I was worthy of receiving love. I tried to prove so hard that things should be different. And one of the things that I failed to do is fail to accept things a lot of the time. I resisted things. I really challenged things, not very confrontationally, but just very passively. I kind of dismissed things a lot, kind of pretending like what the other person was feeling wasn't really true. That's not the truth. And so I would resist that. And sure, things were great in the beginning. We hit it off really well so many times. But things as things continued a little bit, I started noticing them pull away. And unfortunately for me, I felt that, and I compromised myself, and I started acting not myself, which is really uncool of me. And I guess what all of this sums up to is that I was lacking self-respect, and I was completely unaware of it. The whole time I was going out on dates or hanging out with certain people that I was romantically interested in, I was lacking self-respect, which is so unfortunate of me, because now, ever since I discovered that I was disrespecting myself, which is the reason why other people disrespect you at all, is now I can set so-called boundaries. I am now much more conscious and aware of certain limits and what I'm willing and not willing to accept. And this doesn't mean putting my foot down and ruling with an iron fist. It just means I'm going to take a step back and withdraw and ensure that my peace and that my integrity and safety and well-being and my needs are met first and above, foremost, rather than deprecating myself for someone else who doesn't seem to be giving or reciprocating in the same manner. And this is the thing too. If you are romantically interested in someone and you're really struggling trying to get that person to reciprocate, you can't get them to reciprocate. I'm not going to explain why now. Just don't try to do that. Because when you are expecting that other person to return the favor, to return that type of, that love, this is actually coming from a toxic place. Your interpretations are actually effing you up, and this is probably why the other person might not even reciprocate back at all. So it's actually kind of a good thing that the other person is sending this signal. Probably another thing that I regret not doing enough of throughout my dates and romantic interests is remaining sort of on a neutral level and non-reactive, I suppose. Non-reactive is ideal, but sometimes there's these big feelings that develop, right? These really big feelings. And it's because, of course, the self-respect was, the lack of self-respect was there to begin with. And you're having all these thoughts and you're having all these feelings, and they're just intensifying and they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And every time those emotions will get bigger, instead of literally doing nothing, which I should have, I would perhaps express these feelings. And the expression of feelings, there's different ways to go about those. And sending big long texts is definitely not one of them. But expressing these big feelings to someone who might not be ready to receive those big feelings, particularly feelings of uncertainty, feelings of withdrawal, feelings of spiraling feelings, just those types of feelings. It might not be worth sharing those because you just kind of make things worse. And I kind of regret doing nothing. Like, I wish I had done nothing. When those moments count, when you are having those big spirally feelings and those big feelings that you just, sometimes they could be angry feelings, sometimes they can just be sad feelings, sometimes they can just be wishy-washy feelings, just the more intense and the bigger they get, that you just, it's energy, right? It would be so much better when that happens, literally do nothing with that. Like, that is probably the most superior option. And I know that sounds really hard to do because that's just going to be way better of an option. That's your best option, to do nothing. Literally do nothing. Because imagine you yourself, if you were bombarded with a bunch of strong, emotional, sort of depressing texts, would you really know what to say to that? Would you really know how to help with that? Wouldn't you prefer to kind of distance yourself a little bit? It's kind of like seeing a beggar in the street with a sign on his chest saying, free hugs. Do you really want to give that guy free hugs? Or would you rather kind of take one of those guys who have like a cardboard board on his chest and he's got like $10 notes stuck all over his chest and he's like, free cash? Who would you rather go to? And it's not saying that people are greedy or selfish. It's just that's what people are more likely to lean towards. They're more likely to go to someone who's going to benefit their self-interest rather than go to someone who's just sort of deprecating themselves. So yeah, summarize, I suppose, lack of self-respect, lending my car to many different people, even just acquaintances and roommates. These people, they wouldn't have asked me to borrow my damn car if they had known that I lend my car to people. And I regret doing that because I don't want to give that impression anymore, you know what I'm saying? And also having these big feelings, and expressing them in the least healthy way. And my way of expression isn't the most toxic or anything, but it's just like, it never really led anywhere constructive, I don't think. And so sometimes the better option is to literally do nothing.